Doctor Who, Remembrance of the Daleks, the fifth story of the seventh Doctor, is written by Ben Aronovich and starring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. So yeah, this is my first classic story retrospective. Unlike the modern era, I'm not doing classic episodes in order. Plus, I think Remembrance of the Daleks is a great choice to start my classic retrospective, as it's considered to be one of the best classic stories, which I can see why it is. It's fantastic. And the DVD files I used to collect where they did modern era in order until 29. Remembrance of the Daleks is the first classic story on DVD files, apart from the Five Doctors as it's on the bonus DVD. So a script editor, Andrew Cartmel, who joined in season 24, who took the inspiration from Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes' era, including The Seeds of Doom and The Talons of Weng Chiang, to prepare and to make season 25 more serious and dramatic. So there's a concept known as Cartmel Master Plan, as Andrew Cartmel wanted to focus on the Doctor's past for season 25, feeling that as more of the character's own history, together with the history of the Time Lords, had been revealed, some of the mystery of the Doctor had been lost. And to celebrate the 25th anniversary, the producer John Nathan Turner wanted to set the story after the events of An Unearthly Child. Well, just after William Hartnell's Doctor, Susan, Ian and Barbara disappeared away in the TARDIS. Which I think it's a great way to explore more of that period of time. Cartmel recommends a 25-year-old writer, Ben Aronovich, to write this story, as he's never written a TV story, which I think is impressive. Just like Joseph Kosinski, his first movie he directed is Tron Legacy, and I really love that film. Terry Nation was concerned, but the story has approved. Originally the title was going to be Nemesis of the Doctor, but that's obviously changed. So we get a scary opening where the mother ship is flying towards the Earth. So after the opening sequence roll, the seventh Doctor and Ace, played by Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred, arrived in London 1963, where the Coal Hill School is. The cool thing is, their birthdays are on the same day. Not born on the same year, obviously, but yeah, it's crazy. So the Doctor takes a look at the aerial on the van and went inside it, and he meets Professor Rachel Jensen, played by Pamela Salem, who previously appeared in Robots of Death as Tooze, and I think she's great. She was considered for the role as Leela, but it went to Louise Jameson. Meanwhile, Ace goes to the cafe for something to eat, and I love the "Oi, Harry, customer!" I think Harry Fowler as Harry, the owner of a cafe, is brilliant. Shame he only appeared in one episode. Think of him as a companion. That'll be amazing. Throwing the food at Daleks to blind them. They should do his action figure as well. Mike Smith, a sergeant in the Royal Air Force, who also worked for the Association. I think Dursley McLinden is great as well, and the actor sadly died at 30, too young. Rest in peace. When the Doctor examines school playgrounds, we have the scary little girl who's been mind-controlled by the Daleks. I think Jasmine Briggs played it so well. So the Doctor, Ace, Rachel and Mike meets Group Captain Gilmore at the junkyard because there's a dead soldier and something is hiding. Simon Williams played a great captain. I just love the Doctor calling him Brigadier, referencing Lethbridge Stewart. And Karen Gledhill, who played Alison, is great as well. Alison is Rachel Jensen's assistant. So as the two soldiers drag a dead soldier, one of them gets exterminated with a skeleton showing up, which is pretty effective. First time you see skeleton showing when a victim gets exterminated, as the modern series normally use that, and I think it's freaky, as Mike looks like he knows what's going on, as he obviously works with Renegade Daleks. We have a great entrance where the Renegade Dalek shows up. So the Doctor uses Ace Nitro 9 to blow it up. While Rachel, Alison and Gilmore looks at the stench and Mr. Radcliffe... No, I'm talking about the character, not an actor. Ignore that. There we go. Taking a destroyed Renegade Dalek to the base, leaving two soldier corpses lying around. The Doctor and Ace nix Mike's van, and drove up to Coal Hill School and meeting the headmaster, played by a fantastic actor, Michael Sheard, who played 6 roles in the show. Wow. Headmaster in Remembrance of the Daleks, Murgrave in Castrovalva, Law in The Invisible Enemy, Lawrence Scarman in Pyramids of Mars, Dr. Roland Summers in The Mind of Evil, and Rose in The Ark. He also voiced Orsino in A Big Finish Audio, The Stones of Venice. So the headmaster lets the Doctor and Ace look around the school while the headmaster is spying on them. I thought the person sitting on the chair with the computer is pretty cool, which we'll get to later, and I actually thought, for some reason when I first watched it, I thought that was Davros, but obviously not. So the Doctor and Ace looks at the transmat as the Dalek is about to materialise. The Doctor broke it, but an Imperial Dalek was already in the cellar, and the chase is intense, and we get a cool scene where it levitated up the stairs.
You are the Doctor! You are the enemy of the Daleks! You will be exterminated!
Ben Aronovich wanted to surprise the viewers to use that for a cliffhanger. After the headmaster knocked Ace out and locked the Doctor in, Ace woke up just in time to attack the headmaster and let the Doctor out. They noticed a chip in the headmaster's head, so they ran off. So while the headmaster fixes the transmat, the Doctor and Ace picks the bazooka up from RAF Land Rover. I thought it was pretty amusing when the Doctor attempts to put the soldier's pen in his pocket and the soldier was like So the Doctor and Ace went back in school and Imperial Dalek appeared.
You will be exterminated! Ace, get down! Exterminate!
So Ace blew up the Dalek. As the Doctor is burying the past and said out loud to Ace that she hasn't been born yet, and Rachel was confused with Ace smiling, so the Doctor went to the cafe where John, who's covering for Harry as he's at hospital to see his wife, was about to give birth to the twins. They talked about sugar and cut the cane, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, that's Joseph Marcel, who's known for playing Geoffrey in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I think he's great. So the Doctor collected the casket with the Hand of Omega. I liked the bit where the Undertaker said he thought he's an old geezer with a white hair, referencing William Hartnell, and decided to bury the Hand of Omega, and the blind vicar noticed the Doctor's voice has changed. So after Ace is left alone at Mike's house with Mike's mum, and I found it so weird that the announcer on TV said the BBC science fiction series, Doc, and then cut to the next scene with the teleprinter.
And Saturday viewing continues with an adventure in the new science fiction series,
Doctor Who referencing Doctor Who. They couldn't resist, so fair enough. Could be Doctor Anything, it could be Dr. Frankenstein, who knows. But yeah, it's actually bizarre. So Ace goes out and back to the school again to get her tape deck, and we get an awesome iconic scene where Ace beats the crap out of Imperial Daleks with a baseball bat.
What are you calling small?
And I absolutely love that scene, classic. Especially when she's like, who are you calling small? And then just batters it, and smashing through the windows, and with a cliffhanger when she's surrounded by Imperial Daleks.
Exterminate! 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 Exterminate!
I have Ace action figure with the Imperial Dalek. I'm very proud of it. It may not be cheap, but it's worth it. The effects is done well for its time, and the sets in this are fantastic. It does look like 1960s, and the Dalek mothership interior is well done. To those who hasn't seen the classic series, I would recommend watching the story first, as it's a great example and shows how great classic series can be. The music by Kev McCulloch is fantastic. It's one of those soundtracks I would keep on listening. The casts are great. I think Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor is brilliant. Shame a lot of people didn't like him. I did. I've met Sylvester at the Comic-Con. First time was in 2014, and I didn't know how to react at the time. It was absolutely surreal. I said to him he was a good Doctor, and he said thank you. Sadly, I didn't say the same to Paul McGann, as he was busy focusing on other people in the line, so I didn't get the time. At least eventually I told him that 9 years later. The second time I met Paul McGann. I loved Sophie Aldred as Ace. She's one of my favourite companions, and I think Ace should have a spin-off. That would have been so cool. So in part 3, the Doctor, Mike and soldiers ran in and uses a sci-fi gun to make Daleks scream and blow them up. So after examining the blobs and relocating Ace's leg, Radcliffe finds the Hand of Omega at the grave, and we introduce Emperor Dalek, who turns out to be Davros. So the little girl is staring around, and yes, she is scary. I love the designs on both Daleks and Supreme Dalek. I thought they're pretty cool, and I love the special weapon Dalek. I'd love to see more of it. The person sitting on the Dalek chair operating the computer turns out to be that little girl who betrayed Radcliffe and operating time controller, which looks more like a plasma ball.
You were
Born to serve the Daleks.
So while they head out, the Doctor and Ace sneaks in and disable the time controller and puts a calling card on it. The Battle of Two version of Daleks is fantastic for low budget series. There's so many explosions in this. So the Doctor and Ace quickly heads back to the school while the Daleks are patrolling around in London. Ace and the Doctor finds out that Mike is working for Renegade Daleks. I love the bit where the Daleks went away and Ace called them wimps.
They're retreating, all of them.
Wimp!
So the shuttle landed in the school playground, so Mike is under arrest for being a traitor, but he brutally attacks a soldier and escapes. So the Doctor goes to the shuttle, and I love the bit where he puts his hat on the Dalek's eyepiece and disabled it.
Humans on the bridge!
I'm not human.
You are the Doctor!
So Ace, Allison, Rachel and Gilmore came to the shuttle, and the Doctor sees the Daleks' plan, and apparently they're using the Hand of Omega to power up the Skaro sun. So everyone left the shuttle. While Ace is following Mike, the Doctor contacts Davros with great moments. I mean, there's lines like unlimited rice pudding.
Powerful! Crush the lesser races! Conquer the galaxy! Unimaginable power! Unlimited rice pudding!
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc. Do not anger me, Doctor. I can destroy you and that miserable instant devils of planet. Sorry, got a bit carried away there. But yeah, that's a fantastic scene. Well, sadly for Davros, the Hand of Omega didn't go as planned, as it vaporized Skaro's sun and destroyed the mothership. Although Davros used an escape pod, so he escaped. Terry Malloy is great as Davros. I met him at Comic-Con back in 2015, and he's a nice guy, and I said to him he's absolutely fantastic, especially the way he shouts. So while the Doctor watches Supreme Dalek spinning around and disintegrating with a dark moment, the little girl, after she killed Radcliffe and Mike using lightning like Emperor Palpatine, was about to kill Ace. But then she covers her face and crying in collapse and as she's unpossessed. And the bit where Ace hugged her and saying, "It's alright, it's over now," that scene handled really well. The acting is well done. So in the end, everyone attended Mike's funeral. Ace asked the Doctor if they did good, and the Doctor said, "Time will tell." So, that's Remembrance of the Daleks. And I think it's an awesome story, my top 3 favourite Sylvester McCoy stories. If you haven't seen it, you should give it a watch. It is that good. And to those who have seen it and remembrance this episode, what did you think of this story, all 4 parts? Drop it down in the comments below. Love to hear what you think. Doctor Who, The Happiness Patrol, the 6th story of the 7th Doctor, is written by Graham Curry and starring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. So yeah, the title was originally going to be called The Crooked Smile, but got changed into The Happiness Patrol. Apparently the production were planning to have this story in black and white fit with its indeed film noir atmosphere, like what they did with Logan, which sounds interesting. And also the 3rd episode was going to be animated, but it wasn't the case. So at least we stuck with the live action colour version. The The whole story was shot in studio in July and August 1988. So in the planet Terra Alpha in 24th century, we get cool and dark opening where the middle-aged woman walks around the hallway and sitting with Silas P. all of a sudden gets arrested by a hot-looking police called the Happiness Patrol. So the Doctor and Ace arrives and we get a nice mention of the Brigadier and the dinosaurs at London Underground, which is the event of Invasion of the Dinosaurs. So Helen A gave Silas P a third badge, and the Doctor and Ace meets Trevor Sigma, who demands real names for the clipboard, and the Doctor mentions that he was once called Theta Sigma. The Doctor and Ace are planning to get themselves arrested, no idea when it became a good idea, but I think they wanted the truth about the planet and Helen A. It's also bizarre that Happiness Patrol painted the TARDIS pink.
Professor, look what they've done!
Yes, it looks rather good.
And you get that with the 7th Doctor action figure, which is pretty amusing. So the Patrol sees the Doctor as a spy because he's got no badge, and Ace as accomplice, so they get arrested and taken to the waiting zone, with Harold playing a slot machine like you see the one in pubs. Apparently it's kinda prison, even though Priscilla P says it's not a prison, but she says to the Doctor crossing a line and you're a dead man. That's not really a happy threatening there. Apparently the way to be executed is getting yourself covered in red stuff, which I presume it's strawberry flavour. Interesting. So after Harold gets electrocuted by a slot machine, we introduce a sweet monster made of licorice all sorts called the Candyman.
What do you call this?
It's time to watch Doctor Who! Sorry, I had to add that in. Helen A has a strange looking dog in a birdcage called Fifi, nice name. The Doctor and Ace makes a sweet escape with a car, but when it's stopped, Ace gets arrested again. The Doctor escapes as he gets chased by Happiness Patrol, so Ace gets taken for audition and meets a friendly Happiness Patrol called Susan Q, played by Leslie Dunlop, letting her know that she can help. So Susan Q gave Ace the key. Silas P summons the Happiness Patrol for the Doctor whereabouts, but gets knocked out by a player, Earl Sigma, to help the Doctor escape. Nice! So while Silas P is getting killed by the Patrol, the Doctor and Earl goes into the candy kitchen where they make sweets. Ace gets recaptured by Daisy, so as Gilbert and Candyman arrive, the Doctor and Earl tries to escape, but a grill closes. This is a scary, intense cliffhanger.
I do hope so. I like my volunteers to die with smiles on their faces.
If I lived through the 80s and first watching this, I would find it really scary and intense. And I think that's nicely done for a low budget series designing a monster made of sweets. Well, mostly licorice all sorts. So Ace gets taken back to the waiting zone and she questions Helen A's rules. So the Doctor and Earl gets the cloak around them while sitting on the chair looking like they're getting themselves a haircut. As the Candyman is planning to execute the Doctor distracts him by throwing insults and the lemonade spilled and burning Candyman like acid, which is tasteful. So the Doctor and Earl goes underground discovering Crystal and Sugar and meeting the pipe people, which I think they look pretty scary. So Earl manages to distract them by playing the harmonica. As Susan Q gets taken away, Ace knocks down Priscilla, which is badass. So the Doctor meets Trevor again, and always with the real names. So the Happiness Patrol took a creature down to the pipes to hunt. I think the sets and effects are fantastic. The Candyman, who's voiced by David John Pope, is kind of scary and fun kind of villain, who's the candy-obsessed android created by Gilbert M. Sheila Hancock is great as Helen A. Apparently she was supposed to be a caricature of Margaret Thatcher, who was a Prime Minister at the time. Sheila Hancock said she hated Margaret Thatcher with a deep and venomous passion, which, fair enough.
Don't you ever feel like weeping, Helen A?
Of course not, Doctor. It's unnecessary. And those that persisted had to be punished.
Why?
For the good of the majority.
Disclaimer, I do have opinion with politics, but I'm not going to reveal any, which is like who I'd support on football, as I don't want any backlashes, and I want everyone to feel welcome on this channel. Anyway, continue with the retrospective. Even Sylvester McCoy thought Margaret Thatcher was more terrifying than any monsters the Doctor had encountered. Richard D. Sharp as Earl Sigma is outstanding. It is a shame that he's not a companion, as that would be amazing, having the 7th Doctor travelling with Ace and Earl. Again, Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred are great as the 7th Doctor and Ace. Love these two. Leslie Dunlop did a great job playing Susan Q. The rest of the casts are great as well. Dominic Glynn is a great music composer as well. After the Doctor meets Helen A, we get a funny scene where he walks past Gilbert snatching lemonade off him. The scene where Ace and Susan Q getting chased by a creature is pretty terrifying and intense.
Where?
While the Candyman is stuck, the Doctor sees the posters, one of them with Ace on, the other gets painted saying rest in peace, which is suspense. While Helen A is petting Fifi, there we go. So while Helen A is petting Fifi, Ace and Susan Q are escorted to Forum. The scene where the Doctor got carried away on the microphone saying he's happy is pretty entertaining, and him making a party in that room is brilliant. As Fifi are in the pipes, the scene was intense until the rocks fall on him. While Susan Q and Earl is holding Priscilla hostage, the Doctor and Ace confronts Candyman and force him into hiding with a red hot poker and a fairy oven.
Quick, Ace! Open the oven door!
And he fell down to the pipe and killed shortly afterwards when its external candy shell was dissolved in a pipe by a flow of its own strawberry fondant surprise released by the oppressed pipe people. So after Helen A finds out she's been betrayed, she packs up and runs into the Doctor, and he says that she's been lacking emotion and forcing it onto her subjects, but she plans to find a new planet to run to strict happiness again. But when she leaves, she sees Fifi lying around who dies and grieving over him. So the Doctor and Ace says goodbye. Ace finishes the spot they missed when painting the TARDIS blue again. So that's Happiness Patrol. I think it's a fun episode, and to those who doesn't like Candyman because it's weird, Doctor Who is not just science fiction, it's a fantasy, so aliens could look like anything really.
Oh, the Candyman can. The Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love.
What did you guys think of the Happiness Patrol? Did you like the Candyman? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Doctor Who Silver Nemesis, the 7th story of the 7th Doctor, is written by Kevin Clarke and starring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. The title of the story was originally going to be called either The Harbinger or Nemesis, but then eventually settled to Silver Nemesis. Kevin Clarke talked about the development of the plot on the DVD. He points out that he had seen very little of Doctor Who, and that he met the production team without any idea of what his proposed story would be about. He made up a story on the spot in front of John Nathan Turner that the Doctor is literally God, though this was not realised on screen, so then Nathan Turner requested adding Cybermen to the story so it can tie in with the programme's Silver Anniversary. The permission to film at Windsor Garden was denied, so the scenes were shot in Arundel Castle. This story has a bit of a dark open where a Nazi, De Flores, was about to shoot a poor parrot with an arrow, but luckily he was distracted. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Ace watches the Courtney Pine and the band perform, which is fun. And there's a brilliant action where they outrun men with guns.
Who are they?
Couldn't see.
It was unfortunate for the Doctor and Ace where they fell into the lake. As they eventually got in the TARDIS, the Doctor got Ace a new tape deck, replacing the one that was destroyed by Imperial Dalek. And apparently it can do more than play tapes, as the picture of Earth appears. In Windsor, 1638, mathematician works out the date of Nemesis to return to Earth. The Doctor launched a statue of Lady Painford into space, so then Lady Painford and Richard have time travelled to 1988 due to the silver arrow from the statue and the use of black magic. I love the bit where the Doctor and Ace tried on the fez. Wait till you're Matt Smith, Doctor. As they got to Courtyard, Doctor and Ace discovered Queen Elizabeth II, which is cool.
It's all right, Ace.
I know that woman from somewhere.
What? Why didn't you say something?
You wouldn't let me.
Also, Nicholas Courtney, the Brigadier, appeared as an extra in that scene. Don't believe me? Google it yourself. So later on, as they're confronted by De Flores, over the statue and Silver Arrow, the spacecraft landed, which saved them, but it turned out to be Cybermen, which is a great cliffhanger.
What are they?
Cybermen.
Cyber Leader obviously recognised the Doctor, and there's a great battle scene. Both Doctor and De Flores recognise the gold arrow, which is what Cybermen are allergic to. Meanwhile, there's a crazy scene where Lady Painford and Richard are confronted by two muggers, and the two muggers are later tied up, upside down, half naked. The Doctor explains that Validium was created on Gallifrey by Omega and Rassilon, and should have stayed there. De Flores makes a deal with Cyber Leader that if Lady Painford and Richard are killed, in return, they could both share the control of Earth. Plus, Painford shows Richard his grave, which is so bizarre. Sylvester McCoy is fantastic as the Seventh Doctor. He does get better and better. I love Sophie Aldred as Ace. She's definitely badass. One of my favourite classic era companions. David Banks and Mark Hardy as Cyber Leader and Cyber Lieutenant are so iconic. Fiona Walker plays Lady Painford, Cavalier of Windsor in 1638. She's also a sorceress and a poisoner. She gives off great performance. Apparently, Penelope Wilton, Harriet Jones, she was considered for the role. Gerard Murphy plays Richard Maynard, who serves Lady Painford. I really like him, he's great too. Alan Armstrong and Simon Callow were considered for the role. Anton Diffring plays Hans de Flores, who was a Nazi. He's a great villain. Harry Andrews, Bernard Archard, Peter Cushing, Frank Finlay, Robert Fleming, Michael Gough, Charles Gray, Christopher Lee, Herbert Lom, Donald Pleasance, and Peter Vaughan were considered for the role. Mette Yinel plays Carl, who works for De Flores. He's great too. Leslie French plays a mathematician who works for Lady Painford. He does a great job with his performance. Dolores Gray plays Mrs. Remington, who's also called Lavina P. Havensack. According to another source, she is a wealthy American woman who travelled to England to learn more about her ancestors. I really like her. I'll get to that scene later. And apparently in unreleased scene in part 3, which appeared on the extended BBC video release of Silver Nemesis, where it shows Mrs. Remington take a photo of the leaving Nemesis. The role was originally a man named Milton P. Remington. John Nathan Turner hoped to interest Larry Hagman in the role, having been put in touch with Hagman's representatives by Kate O'Mara. When this didn't pan out, the role was rewritten as a woman, and Dolores Gray took the role. And it's pretty cool to see Courtney Pine in Doctor Who with the fun jazzy music. Kevin Clarke wrote him in the story because he was a fan of his work, and Pine, who was a fan of the show, agreed and got his band to appear alongside him. Martin Reed is great as security guard, who's in charge of protecting Windsor Castle. Chris Sherring and Simon Laws play skinheads, the thugs that tried to mug Lady Painford and Richard. They gave off great performance. The casts are fantastic. The set and music by Kev McCulloch are brilliant, and so is Chris Clough's direction. The moving statue looks pretty effective. Ace uses Nitro 9 to blow up the cyber ship. The Doctor and Ace sat down and discovered cyber warship above the Earth on the scanner, which is intense.
What are they?
Cyber warships.
It is said in DVD documentary, scenes were filmed in woodland area around Arundel Castle, notably the climax of Part 2. The Great Storm of 1987 damaged the trees and caused them to fall to the ground, which resulted widespread damage throughout southern England.
It's difficult to estimate the full cost of the damage, but with people being advised to stay at home, the cost of business will also be high. The final bill could well run into millions of pounds.
The The Doctor decides to activate Validium by taking the boat to the crypt, so Ace tags along. The Flores realizes he's being used and negotiate with Cyber Leader. The Cybermen were ordered to kill him, so then he threw gold dust and got away. And I love the scene where Lady Painford and Richard gets a lift from Mrs. Remington as they hitchhiked, talking about the history of her ancestors. It's a fun scene. Ace versus Cybermen is a blast to watch. Just like the Daleks, she gets revenge on Cybermen. That scene was filmed on the site that later became the Millennium Dome, now the O2. Eventually, Lady Painford came and inserted herself inside a statue and launched herself in space, destroying all cyber warships.
This is impossible.
After she threatened to reveal the Doctor's real name.
Have you never wondered where he came from? Who he is?
Nobody knows who the Doctor is.
Except me.
The Cyber Leader was about to kill the Doctor, so Richard grabbed an arrow that strikes the TARDIS and killed the leader. In the end, the Doctor and Ace drops him back off at 1638. The Doctor and Ace plays chess. And I love the ending where Richard and a Stuart woman played a song. Ace asked the Doctor who he is, but he shushed her.
Professor? Doctor? Who are you?
Some good stuff in there. What did you think of Silver Nemesis? Let me know in the comments down below. Doctor Who, the greatest show in the galaxy, the 8th story of the 7th Doctor, is written by Stephen White and starring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. So the character WizKid created as a parody of obsessive fans owing to the discovery of asbestos at the BBC, which led to the temporary closure of few television studios. The story nearly suffered the same thing as Sharda, that had been cancelled after the location works had been completed, but a tent was erected in the car park of BBC Elstree Centre where the crew completed all sequences previously scheduled for the studio. Model shots were originally created for the story to be used during part 1, but when the Doctor's TARDIS is infiltrated by the advertising drone, and they ended up not being used in the final programme, but still exist in the BBC archive on their original 35mm elements. Thus they were included on the DVD release as a bonus feature. I love the opening where the ringmaster raps "You ain't seen nothing yet."
There are lots of surprises for the family at the greatest show in the galaxy.
While the Doctor does a bit of a juggling in the TARDIS, Ace is struggling to find her Nitro 9, which are in the bag, and I love the fact that she's wearing Tom Baker's scarf. And I thought the satellite robot was pretty cool, even though it sends a junk mail.
Yes, it's festival time at the Psychic Circus, the greatest show in the galaxy, so why not come along?
So they both arrived in the planet Seganax. Meanwhile, Flower Child and Bellboy outruns the circus. As they're separated, there's a really sad scene where someone killed Flower Child, and poor Ace that she's having to eat the whole inside of pumpkin from the fruit market. The clowns hunt for Bellboy as the Doctor, Ace, Captain Cook, Mags look inside a bus. There's a cool looking robot inside. The Doctor destroyed it. After Bellboy gets dragged back into the circus, Mags and Captain Cook went there alongside Nord. As the Bellboy gets punished, Mags screamed. The Doctor and Ace were outside. Ace heard the scream and wasn't sure if she wanted to go inside the tent, and the Doctor asks her to decide, which makes it an interesting cliffhanger. And it was so freaky the way the clown ran out and waved at the Doctor and Ace like this. As the circus was about to begin, apart from the strange family, the Doctor and Ace are the only audience, and the ringmaster raps about the show. It's definitely fun to watch.
And one thing's for sure, you're in for quite a surprise. But then nothing's quite as it seems to be at the greatest show in the galaxy.
Ace assumes the clown is a robot, Plus, clowns is one of her fears.
Are you a robot too?
No.
Pity.
So tell me where you found it.
I love the tent corridor. I thought that was pretty cool. While Ace tries to get away from the clowns, the Doctor was tricked into getting himself locked up in the cage with Captain Cook and Mags. So then Ace finds Bellboy, who's tied up, so she tries to help him, but then the clowns came in and gives the chase again. But then Ace gets locked up inside a workshop. So after the Doctor finished his juggling, he and Mags got out the cage and went to the edge of the deep well in the stone chamber, and it was mind-blowing cliffhanger where Captain Cook revealed to be a villain and telling the Doctor that he's the next one due on the ring. Sylvester McCoy is so good as the 7th Doctor. The second time I met him, where I cosplayed the 14th Doctor, which I admit I look ridiculous, I asked him what was his favourite story, and he said The Greatest Show in the Galaxy was his favourite, which I can definitely see why. It does look like a fun story to film, and he's definitely nice in person. I got an autograph from him on that day. Sophie Aldred is brilliant as Ace. Apparently Sophie was afraid of clowns just like Ace, and I can see that the acting is pretty genuine. T.P. McKenna plays Captain Cook, who is an intergalactic explorer. He does a great job. The role was originally intended for Ian McKellen. Jessica Martin plays Mags, who turns out to be a werewolf from the planet called Volpana. I really love that character. Jessica Martin reprised the role in Big Finish audio series as the 7th Doctor's companion.
Stay back!
I'll try and help you. And the others. The ones in the forest. Give them back what they've lost.
Resher, on the gate. He says there was a stranger asking for you late last night.
What?
He came to answer the call. He came from the stars.
What's going on down there? You almost shot the son of your head woman. You'll be off a Christmas card list if you fire again.
My name is Varon. You have a problem with monsters, and I am quite the expert.
Doctor, they're probably much more scared of us than we are of them.
I don't think that's actually true. Doctor? Doctor?
Alan Bond said it was his idea to have Mags return as a companion in the Big Finish Productions monthly adventures because he had always felt that she was such an engaging character and that it felt unfair that she didn't go off with the Doctor in the TARDIS at the end. Plus, Jessica also voiced Queen Elizabeth II in Voyage of the Damned, the 2007 Christmas special. Rico Ross plays the Ringmaster, the host of the Psychic Circus. I find his rap entertaining. He gives off great performance. Danny John Jules and Clark Peters were considered for the role. Christopher Guard plays Bellboy, who runs away from circus. He built, repaired the robot clowns. He gives off great performance too. Chris Jury plays Kingpin, aka Deadbeat, one of the founding members of the Psychic Circus. He's pretty good. Gods of Ragnarok, that looks like stone statues, who made sentient beings suffer to entertain themselves, which is who the strange popcorn and ice cream eating family are. They composed of Father Ragnarok, Mother Ragnarok, and a little girl. I like the Gods of Ragnarok. I thought they're pretty interesting. Alan Warren, the director, voiced the third God of Ragnarok in Part 4. The Doctor comments to Father Ragnarok that the gods are not interested in beginnings, only in endings. The Gods of Ragnarok's name is from the Nordic Ragnarok, which is often misunderstood as the end of the world, or Armageddon. While an important part of Ragnarok is a climatic and cataclysmic battle, it ultimately ends with a renewed of the world as new and fertile. One translation of Ragnarok is the end of the gods. Thus, the Gods of Ragnarok are the gods of the end of the gods. They do get mentioned in the deleted scene from The Infinite Quest as one of the beings which rules the universe during dark times. Ian Reddington plays Chief Clown, the head clown of Psychic Circus. I thought he's pretty terrifying. The lipstick does look a bit like Jack Nicholson's Joker, which is cool. Plus, the Chief Clown appeared in Time Fracture, the 2021 stage play, which can be found in the Alien market, being played by Kieran Mortal, and Sam Blythe, plus Ian Reddington reprised the role in the Big Finish audio, starting from the Psychic Circus.
You can't hide anymore. Time's running out.
Any more fares, please? Any more fares?
Big Finish. We love stories.
Forgive me, I'm only a clown.
Peggy Mount plays Stoll's lady, grouchy and not keen on people who she called weirdos. She does a great job playing the character you love to hate. Gian Samako plays WizKid, who said he's the biggest fan of the Psychic Circus and had a big collection of souvenirs. However, he never actually seen them perform. I like him, he's canny. Daniel Peacock plays Nord, a violent and rude motorbike rider who auditioned for the Psychic Circus. I thought he's badass. Daniel Peacock in real life is the brother of Harry Peacock, who plays Proper Dave in Silence of the Library and Forest of the Dead two-parter. Deborah Manship plays Morgana, a fortune teller who also sold tickets at the entrance of the circus tent. She's great too. Dee Sadler plays Flower Child, a circus performer who escapes from the circus with Bellboy. She's brilliant too. Dean Hollingsworth plays the bus conductor, a robot. Like I said, he's a pretty cool robot. Dean previously played an android in Time Lash. The casts are phenomenal in their roles. The sets, action and effects are fantastic. The direction by Alan Waring and music by Mark Ayres are awesome. While Captain Cook and clowns arrive to take the Doctor to the circus ring for his performance, Ace is imprisoned, but she faces her fears to defeat the clowns. So then Bellboy reunites with Kingpin, realizing what he and the other circus performers have lost. There's a sad scene where Bellboy gets killed by robots. Doctor, Ace and Kingpin got to the pit with a mysterious eye. Kingpin shows them that the eye is connected to the mirrored eye medallion he wears, and it wasn't completed. Its eye sigil blocks an eyeball. The Doctor and Ace realize the missing part must have been what Flower Child died trying to retrieve from the abandoned bus. While Ace and Kingpin are sent to pick it up, the Doctor returns to the cage with Captain Cook and Mags in the show. As the light shines on Mags,
You really were extremely stupid this time, Doctor. I told you she was an unusual specimen.
there's a cliffhanger where she transforms into a werewolf. As the Doctor tries to help Mags, eventually she attacks Captain Cook. That was a terrifying scene. There's an awesome scene where Ace uses the robot to fight against the clowns, and also when she pressed the button of the bus driver robot and exploded. And there's an iconic scene where the Doctor goes to the arena and shows off his magic tricks in front of the gods of Ragnarok.
Anyway, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Sylvester McCoy was taught in the magic tricks by Jeffrey Durham, who used to be called the Great Soprendo. Ace, Kingpin and Mags got to the pit. Kingpin can't bring himself to use the medallion, but as God's animated Cook got the medallion, Ace rushes him and knocks him into the pit. Cook tries to catch it and falls down to the pit. After Gods try to kill the Doctor, he uses a medallion to deflect their weapons, which destroy the circus. In the end, Mags and Kingpin plan to travel galaxy together and inviting the Doctor and Ace, but they've got galaxies of their own to travel. This is a fantastic story. I really enjoyed The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. What did you think of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy and Season 25? Let me know in the comments down below. On 4th of July 2024, as Season 25 joins the Blu-ray collection was announced. Not only it does have surround sounds behind the sofas and in conversations, there's also new effects and extended cuts for every stories, including where the city was added for the Happiness Patrol. Thanks for watching, people, and I'll see you in the next video.
one thing's for sure, you're in for quite a surprise. But then nothing's quite as it seems to be at the greatest show in the galaxy.